Well, I just came back from watching the Eternals. Oh, goodness. Whoo, boy. Oh, boy. Like, I literally just came back. I got Taco Bell and everything. I'm gonna start eating here in a second. But, this movie, man. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna be brutally honest from beginning to end. Because this is the first time I've had to, like, deal with this. And hopefully, sometime in the future, my opinion will change. Maybe. Because I don't want to dislike any movie. I don't go to the movie theater wanting to waste my time watching what I think are bad movies. Okay? So when I finally watch a Marvel movie, coming out of the theater disappointed, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, to be honest, because I'm Marvel shill through and through. I was advocating for this movie for quite some time. Like, I hate the idea that there are people out there that look at a Marvel trailer, say that, oh, the CGI is bad, oh, it's just another corporate cash grab and shit. And then you come out of the theater thinking, maybe they might be onto something. But I know they're not. I know they're not. Because you can't just look at a trailer and be like, oh yeah, that's just another garbage movie they're popping out, shitting out of their asses. It's not how it works. However, I'm making this sound so far like it's the worst movie ever. It's not. It is still competently made. It still looks good. Which, I'm going to start with the positives first. What I actually did like about the movie. This movie is, in my opinion, still visually pleasing. There's actually less noticeable bad acting in this movie than from my first review, which was Last Night in Soho. Like, there were lines in Last Night in Soho that actually I heard it, and it was like, that didn't sound like very good acting. I'll be honest, I didn't believe that line delivery. But here, there was never a moment where somebody said something and it kind of drew me out of the movie. And like I said, it's visually pleasing. I liked looking at it. And that's about the best compliment that I can give it. I like the I like some of the characters. I like how no one did a bad job with their character. But there were only a few characters I actually kind of liked. Which leads me into the negatives. It is so hard to actually like any of these characters. So hard. And without spoiling anything, the ones I actually did like, I did not like what happened to them. That's all I'm going to say about the characters. I did not like what happened to them. And Kevin Feige himself said that what happens in the Eternals would have lasting effects that would be felt throughout the rest of the MCU. And unless he's referring to the end credits scene, I think he's just full of shit. Because literally, the only noticeable thing that happens is that humans on Earth finally know of the existence of Celestials. But the thing is, that doesn't really change much. It really didn't. Eventually, we were going to get to a moment where there would be some, like, universal scale change of scenery, I guess, for lack of a better word. But that more or less came when humans finally realized that aliens existed at all. Now they're realizing that there are even bigger aliens, ones that consider themselves gods. It's not really that big of a step forward. It just isn't. We've known, like, the viewer has known about Celestials since back in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's not that big of a step forward. It really isn't. And at worst, this movie is just boring, honestly. It's just boring. I sat throughout the entire movie thinking to myself that this reminds me of a lot like Solo, a Star Wars story. Because I just like in Solo, I sat in the theater just looking at the screen bored. And, like, honestly, it bored me. That's all it is. Because it's a bunch of people that essentially consider themselves gods. Certainly humans would consider them gods. And they are even made out to be gods. They're literally, like, one is Athena, one is Icarus, one is Gilgamesh. These are all technically gods. Okay? And there is no relation to them. They try to make them into, like, more human characters. But at no point in the movie do you actually even really remotely begin to actually give a fuck about any of them. It's so hard to get into them. The only time I actually feel like one of them was slightly human was, like, the only character that I genuinely thought I could somewhat relate to was Sprite. And that's because she is forever damned to look like a kid. And everybody's going to treat her like one because of that. And more than anything in the world, she wanted to be human so that she could age. So that people could start recognizing that she is more than just some kid. Or some being that looks like a kid. And that's about as deep as it gets. Truth be told. I am eventually going to rewatch this movie. As I do with every Marvel movie. But I honestly can't say that I look forward to it. I want to like this movie. I really do. I'm hoping that upon rewatching it that I'll actually like it more. I'll notice more things. But right now I just don't. It was so boring, and I was really looking forward to this movie. Like, I was not looking forward to Black Widow. I wasn't really looking forward to Shang-Chi, but definitely more than Black Widow. Like, hell. Well, no. I don't know, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's just disappointing. I'm going to end up giving this movie, right now, a 2 out of 5. It was bad, but it didn't offend me bad. It definitely needed some help. Like, I would have liked to, like, gone on my phone, like, looked at memes throughout the movie. That's what I would have liked to have done. Watching, like, 2 viewings or something. And again, full respect to, like, all the people that went into making this. But I'm sorry, this is the first time for me that I could sit down and say that I left the theater watching a Marvel movie bored. And it's disappointing. That's all it is.